The crystalline spires of Meridia Prime sparkled under the light of 3 moons, their surfaces reflecting countless colors across the planet's surface. To most species in the galaxy, the sight would have been breathtaking. To the Crack's Warfleet commander, it was nothing more than target practice. Pathetic, Commander Vexthar growled, his scaled fingers tapping against his command chair. Another civilization of philosophers and artists. The galaxy has no room for such weakness. The Meridians had always known they were different from the other spacefaring races. While the dominant species built warships and established empires, the Meridians focused on understanding the fundamental harmonies of the universe. Their bodies, composed of living crystal, resonated with the energy fields that permeated space itself. This gift had led them to develop remarkable technologies based on crystal harmonics, but they had never thought to use them for warfare. The first bombardment shattered the outer defense barriers like glass. The Meridian High Council, gathered in their chamber of harmonies, could only watch as centuries of peaceful advancement crumbled around them. Their distress beacon, broadcasting on all frequencies, seemed to echo uselessly into the void. Until someone answered. The human vessels appeared without warning, dropping out of hyperspace in formations that the Crack's combat computers initially dismissed as navigational errors. They were smaller than the Crack's warships, less heavily armed, and fewer in number. By all conventional military wisdom, they should have retreated immediately. They didn't. This is Captain Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. The transmission cut through all channels, overriding even the Crack's military frequencies. We received a distress call. We're here to help. The Crack's commander's laughter echoed across the command channel. Humans. Of course it would be humans. The galaxy's newest troublemakers, coming to defend its oldest cowards. This should be amusing. What followed was anything but amusing for the Crack's fleet. The human ships moved in ways that defied conventional space combat doctrine. Where the Cracks expected them to form defensive lines, they scattered like startled birds, each vessel seeming to operate independently yet somehow part of a greater whole. They danced through the debris field of the destroyed Meridian defenses, using the crystalline fragments to refract their point defense lasers into dazzling arrays that confused Crack's targeting systems. Impossible. Vexthar snarled as another of his heavy cruisers reported critical damage. Their weapons shouldn't be able to penetrate our shields. But they were. The humans had taken one look at the scattered remains of Meridian crystal technology and understood something that millennia of other species had missed. The crystals weren't just pretty sculptures or resonating chambers. They were natural amplifiers. In the Chamber of Harmonies, the Meridian Council watched in awe as their supposedly primitive human rescuers demonstrated an intuitive grasp of crystal harmonics that rivaled their own masters. The humans weren't just fighting. They were improvising, adapting, turning the very wreckage of Meridian civilization into a weapon against its destroyers. Your people. First Speaker Luminara addressed the human commander on their secure channel, her crystalline form pulsing with confused wonder. How did you know? Captain Chen's hologram smiled. We recognize potential when we see it. Your crystal tech. It's amazing. But you've been using it like a musical instrument when it could be a whole orchestra. The battle lasted less than an hour. When it was over, the mighty Crack's fleet had been reduced to retreating survivors, their commander's final transmission a stream of curses and promises of revenge. But the Meridians barely noticed their departure. They were too fascinated by their saviors. The humans moved among them now. Engineers and scientists working alongside Meridian crystal shapers with an excitement that bordered on reverence. Where other species had seen the Meridians as fragile decorations, the humans saw kindred spirits. Beings who understood that the greatest strength often lay in seeing possibilities others missed. Your people, Luminara observed as she watched a human engineer excitedly discuss crystalline resonance patterns with a young Meridian shaper. You're different from the others. The Cracks mock us for our perceived weakness, but you. We know what it's like to be underestimated, Captain Chen replied. Humanity spent most of its history being told what it couldn't do. Go to the moon. Impossible. Cure deadly diseases. Beyond our capability. Travel faster than light. Don't be ridiculous. She smiled. We made a habit of proving people wrong. As the sun set on Meridia Prime, casting rainbow refractions through the damaged but healing crystal spires, a new alliance was born. The Meridians had found in humanity not just protectors, but kindred spirits who saw the universe not as it was, but as it could be. And the humans, they'd found partners whose technology could amplify their greatest strength, the ability to imagine the impossible and make it real. The galaxy's powers that be would soon learn that they had made a grave mistake in dismissing either species. Sometimes the greatest strength lies not in the ability to destroy, but in the vision to see what others cannot. And the Meridians and humans were about to show the galaxy just how far that vision could take them. 3 months after the Battle of Meridia Prime, the galaxy's diplomatic channels buzzed with rumors and barely concealed laughter. The Krax Empire's propaganda machine worked overtime, spinning tales of how the mighty warrior race had merely chosen to withdraw from an insignificant conflict, not been driven away by the upstart humans and their crystalline allies. But in the vast underground laboratories beneath Meridia's glittering spires, something unprecedented was taking shape. The resonance patterns are all wrong, muttered Dr. Maya Patel, her holographic displays swimming with complex crystalline structures. Or maybe they're exactly right, just not in the way anyone expected. She turned to her Meridian colleague, whose crystalline form pulsed with intellectual curiosity. Quantum harmonics don't follow linear paths, do they, Resonator Vel? The Meridian scientist's response came as both words and a subtle harmonic vibration that humans had learned to interpret as excitement. For 10,000 years, we sought to perfect pure harmonies. We never considered that discord might have its own power. What the two species had discovered together was revolutionary. Meridian crystal technology operated on principles of perfect resonance, pure harmonic frequencies that could manipulate energy and matter. Human technology, by contrast, was messy, adaptable, often seemingly contradictory. When the two approaches merged, the results defied conventional physics. In a secured testing chamber, a human marine surgeon named Rodriguez stood before a panel of skeptical Krax observers who had come to verify reports they assumed were exaggerated. He wore what appeared to be a simple crystal-studded combat suit. Beginning demonstration, announced the project supervisor. Standard military-grade plasma cannon. Full power. The Krax delegates leaned forward, anticipating the human's imminent vaporization. The plasma bolt struck Rodriguez square in the chest and vanished into a shower of rainbow-hued particles that harmlessly surrounded him like a cosmic aurora. Impossible, growled the lid Krax observer. The energy requirements for such shielding would be astronomical with conventional technology. Dr. Patel finished for him. But we're not using conventional anything anymore. The Human Meridian research team had discovered that by introducing controlled imperfections into crystal matrices, imperfections that would have horrified traditional Meridian crafters, they could create what they called quantum discord cascades. The discord didn't destroy the crystal's power. It multiplied it in ways that defied traditional physical laws. Think of it like jazz, Rodriguez explained to the bewildered aliens, grinning inside his crystal-enhanced armor. Sometimes the notes that shouldn't work together create the most interesting music. But defense was only the beginning. In orbital shipyards, the first human Meridian hybrid vessels were taking shape. They looked wrong to traditional shipwrights. Asymmetrical crystalline growths sprouting from conventional hull designs, power cores that pulsed with seemingly random frequencies that somehow produced twice the output of traditional systems. The Meridians, once dismissed as fragile artists, were learning to see their own technology through human eyes. Humans, in turn, were discovering that their chaotic, adaptable approach to engineering could be refined and amplified through crystal harmonics. They're calling it quantum jazz in the fleet, Captain Chen reported to the Joint Human Meridian Defense Council. Our engineers say it shouldn't work. The Meridian harmonics experts say it shouldn't work. But it does, and it works better than anything either of us could have developed alone. Not everyone was pleased with these developments. The Galactic Council's Technology Oversight Committee issued stern warnings about unauthorized hybridization of disparate technological paradigms. The Crax Empire's diplomatic court filed formal protests about destabilizing innovations that threaten established military conventions. The human and Meridian representatives attended these sessions together now, their combined presence a statement in itself. Where once the Meridians would have quietly accepted such criticism, they now stood tall, their crystalline forms resonating with quiet confidence. Perhaps, First Speaker Luminara addressed one particularly heated council session. Her words carried on harmonics that made the chamber itself vibrate subtly. It is not our innovations that threaten stability, but rather the assumption that stability requires stagnation. The human ambassador beside her smiled. Where we come from, they used to say that the only constant is change. The galaxy might as well get used to it. As if to emphasize their words, news arrived that the first joint human Meridian patrol fleet had successfully tested their new weapons systems. The results were classified, but rumors spoke of crystals that could redirect enemy fire back at its source, shields that grew stronger under attack, and targeting systems that seemed to anticipate enemy movements before they happened. The Crax Empire's response was predictable. They began amassing their fleet for what they claimed were routine exercises near the human Meridian border. But this time, neither humans nor Meridians felt the old fear. In the labs and shipyards, in training grounds and defense installations, two very different species had found something remarkable. The confidence that came from knowing that their greatest strengths lay not in their similarities, but in their differences. And as the Crax war fleet grew larger at the border, both humans and Meridians shared a thought that would have been unimaginable just months before. Let them come. Sometimes the most beautiful music comes from the most unexpected combinations of notes. The Crax fleet admiral, Zexthor, watched the tactical display with growing unease. Before him, a joint human Meridian battle group was performing maneuvers that should have been impossible. Their ships moved in formations that seemed to defy conventional space combat logic, crystal-enhanced hulls bleeding off energy in ways that confused his best tracking systems. "They're baiting us," his second-in-command observed. 6 months ago, these same Meridians couldn't defend their own homeworld. Now they're dancing at our borders like veteran warriors. "Not dancing," Zexthor corrected, his scaled face creasing with concern. "They're composing." The transformation of the Meridian Defense Force had been nothing short of revolutionary. Where once they had built ships focused purely on harmony and efficiency, now their vessels were works of controlled chaos. Crystal spires that seemed randomly placed across their hulls actually formed complex three-dimensional arrays, turning the ships themselves into vast quantum computational engines. But it was their partnership with humans that truly made them dangerous. Humanity's greatest military advantage had always been unpredictability, their willingness to try tactics that more established species would dismiss as insane. Now, with Meridian crystal tech amplifying their natural tendencies, they had become something unprecedented. During one particularly tense standoff, a human destroyer designated Thunderchild demonstrated this new paradigm. When 3 Crax cruisers attempted to box it in using standard containment tactics, the destroyer's crystalline extensions suddenly pulsed with rainbow light. The space around it seemed to fold, and the ship appeared to be in 3 places at once. "Quantum position uncertainty, weaponized," explained Commander Sarah Chen to her stunned Meridian allies. "Your crystals don't just channel energy, they can blur the lines between possible realities. We're not just flying ships anymore, we're conducting probability." The Meridians, for their part, had undergone an equally profound change. Their natural gift for harmony now extended to warfare, but not in the way anyone expected. They learned to create deliberate dissonance, using their crystal tech to generate chaos harmonics that could disrupt enemy systems or enhance their own capabilities in unpredictable ways. The universe itself is not perfectly ordered, Resonator Vale explained during a joint tactical briefing. It is a dance between chaos and harmony. We simply needed humans to help us see that embracing imperfection could make us stronger. In orbital shipyards throughout both human and Meridian space, new vessels were taking shape. They bore names that reflected their hybrid nature: crystalline thunder, quantum discord, harmonic chaos. Each ship was unique, its crystal configurations grown rather than built, adapting to its crew's particular style of combat. The Crax Empire's response was to double down on their traditional advantages: bigger ships, stronger weapons, more numerous fleets. But with each passing day, their technological edge eroded further. The Human-Meridian Alliance was not just copying their weapons. They were rewriting the rules of what weapons could be. During one demonstration for neutral observers, a small human Meridian corvette survived a direct hit from a Crax dreadnought's main gun. The energy didn't just dissipate, it was absorbed, redirected, and transformed. The crystalline arrays across the corvette's hull blazed with light as they converted the attack into pure computational power, temporarily giving the small ship the processing capacity of 1,000 quantum computers. That's the thing about energy, a human engineer explained to the astonished witnesses. It doesn't disappear, it just changes form. The Meridians always knew this. They just needed a fresh perspective on how to use that knowledge. But perhaps the most significant change was cultural. The Meridians, once reluctant to even consider conflict, had found a way to remain true to their principles while developing the strength to defend them. They didn't become warriors in the traditional sense. They became something new, composer-tacticians who could turn the mathematics of combat into a form of abstract art. The humans, in turn, found their natural creativity and adaptability enhanced by Meridian precision and harmony. Their traditional shoot-from-the-hip approach evolved into something more refined, but no less effective: controlled chaos that could be directed with surgical precision. They're not just allies anymore. First Speaker Luminera observed to Captain Chen as they watched a joint training exercise. "We're becoming something entirely new." Chen nodded, watching as human and Meridian ships performed maneuvers that would have been dismissed as fantasy just months before. That's what humans do best. We don't just adapt to change, we accelerate it. And your people? You help us turn our chaos into symphony. The Crax Empire's patience was wearing thin. Their border provocations grew more frequent, more aggressive. Everyone could see that a confrontation was inevitable. But this time, when the Crax ships appeared in attack formation, they found something very different waiting for them. The galaxy was about to witness a new kind of warfare, one where the line between art and combat, between chaos and harmony, would blur forever. And at the heart of it all, two species that the galaxy had underestimated were about to demonstrate just how powerful their unlikely partnership had become. After all, the most beautiful symphonies often arise from the most unexpected combinations of instruments. The seven-star system had always been considered worthless, a septuplet of dim red dwarfs orbited by barren worlds of rock and ice. But on this day, it would become legend. The Crax Empire had finally lost patience. Their entire battle fleet, 500 capital ships strong, dropped out of hyperspace in perfect attack formation. Leading them was the newly commissioned super dreadnought Empire's Fist, a vessel so massive it generated its own gravitational field. Waiting for them were just 50 ships of the Human Meridian Defense Force. Such a waste, Admiral Zexthor transmitted on an open channel. You could have accepted your place in the natural order. Instead, you force us to remind the galaxy why some species are meant to rule and others to serve. The response came not in words, but in music, a crystalline harmony that seemed to ripple through space itself, making the very stars pulse in rhythm. Aboard the Crax ships, instruments began registering impossible readings. "They're using the stars," a Crax sensor operator reported, their voice tinged with disbelief. "Somehow, they're using the gravitational harmonics of all 7 stars as a resonance chamber." The human Meridian fleet had arranged itself in what appeared to be a chaotic scatter, their crystal-enhanced ships positioned at seemingly random points throughout the system. But there was nothing random about it. Each ship was a note in a vast cosmic symphony, and the conductor was about to raise their baton. "You know what your empire's greatest weakness is." Captain Chen's voice cut through all frequencies. "You think power only flows in one direction." She paused. "Mestro Vale, shall we show them a new arrangement?" The battle began not with weapons fire, but with light. The crystalline arrays on the Allied ships pulsed in perfect sequence, each flashed timed to the microsecond. The gravitational waves from the 7 stars began to resonate in patterns that defied conventional physics. When the Crack's fleet opened fire, their energy weapons seemed to shatter, breaking apart into prismatic beams that curved and twisted through space. Some disappeared entirely, only to reappear from impossible angles. Others were caught in crystalline webs of light that transformed their destructive power into pure computational energy. Impossible. Zexthor raged as his carefully planned attack dissolved into chaos. "No defense system can." "That's your second mistake," Chen interrupted. "Thinking this is just about defense." The human Meridian ships began to move, not in the rigid formations favored by traditional space navies, but in flowing patterns that mimicked the quantum dance of subatomic particles. Each vessel became a note in a greater melody, their movements creating interference patterns that rippled through spacetime itself. The Meridians had discovered that their crystal technology could do more than channel energy. It could influence probability itself. The humans had taken this concept and weaponized it in ways that bordered on magical. Ships would appear to be in multiple places at once. Quantum uncertainty expanded to a macroscopic scale. Weapons fire would phase through solid matter, or loop back on itself in impossible spirals. At the heart of the formation, the flagship Harmonic Discordance began its final movement. Its crystalline spires blazed with every color in the spectrum, and some that human eyes had never seen before. The 7 stars of the system pulsed in sync, their gravitational fields forming patterns that the Crack's computers couldn't even begin to process. "You wanted to see our place in the natural order." First Speaker Luminara's harmonic voice resonated through every ship in the system. "Then witness what happens when chaos and harmony dance together." The space between the stars seemed to fold. Reality itself appeared to hesitate, like a wave caught between cresting and breaking. The Crack's fleet found itself trapped in a quantum matrix where probability itself had become a weapon. Their mighty dreadnoughts, designed to project power through brute force, were helpless against an enemy that could rewrite the rules of physics locally. In less than an hour, it was over. The mighty Crack's fleet hadn't been destroyed. They had been conducted. Like notes in a grand symphony, their ships had been woven into a pattern that left them powerless, their weapons and engines disrupted by harmonics they couldn't comprehend. The galaxy's powers have spent millennia perfecting the art of destruction. Chen transmitted to the defeated admiral. "We decided to try something new, the science of transformation." The Battle of 7 Stars would be remembered not for its death toll, but for its beauty. Witnesses spoke of lights that danced between the stars, of space itself singing with crystalline harmonies. The Crack's fleet withdrew not in shame, but in awe. They had come expecting to crush an upstart alliance. Instead, they had witnessed the birth of something unprecedented. Warfare transformed into art, destruction transmuted into creation. The galaxy would never be the same. And in the aftermath, as the 7 stars returned to their quiet rhythms, human and Meridian crews celebrated not just a victory, but a vindication. They had proved that the greatest power comes not from dominance, but from synthesis, from finding harmony in chaos and strength in unity. The galaxy was about to enter a new age, conducted by those it had once mocked. In the year following the Battle of 7 Stars, the galaxy changed more than it had in the previous millennium. The Crack's empire, for the first time in its history, sent diplomats instead of warships. The Galactic Council chambers, once filled with mockery and derision, now echoed with thoughtful silence as human and Meridian representatives took their seats. "We come seeking understanding," announced the Crack's ambassador, Vex Laura, her proud warrior race humbled not by defeat, but by revelation. "Our empire was built on the belief that strength flows from uniformity. You have shown us a different path." The changes rippled through galactic society like harmonics through a crystal. Other species that had been dismissed or marginalized began to emerge, each bringing their own unique perspectives and capabilities. The Zith, with their gas cloud consciousness, offered insights into quantum computing that complemented Meridian crystal technology. A microscopic nano-collective, once considered too small to matter, proved invaluable in advancing crystal growth techniques. In the shipyards above Earth and Meridia Prime, a new generation of vessels took shape. They were no longer simply weapons of war, but expressions of possibility. The crystal arrays that had once been used to redirect enemy fire now powered deep space exploration vessels, allowing them to navigate the quantum foam of space-time itself. "We didn't just change how ships are built," Dr. Maya Patil explained to a gathering of galactic scientists. "We changed what ships can be." Behind her, the prototype explorer, Quantum Harmony, demonstrated its capabilities, its crystalline structure shifting and flowing like liquid light as it phased through different quantum states. The Meridians, once mocked for their artistic focus, found themselves at the forefront of a cultural renaissance. Their crystal harmonics, combined with human creativity, gave birth to new forms of art that could be experienced across multiple dimensions simultaneously. Concert halls became temples of quantum expression, where music could alter the very fabric of local reality. Art and science were never truly separate, Resonator Vale observed during the opening of the first Quantum Symphony Hall on Earth. They are both attempts to understand and shape the universe. Humans helped us see that the boundary between them is as fluid as quantum probability itself. But perhaps the most profound change was in how species viewed each other. The success of the Human-Meridian Alliance had demonstrated that true power came not from domination, but from synergy, from finding ways to amplify each other's strengths rather than exploit each other's weaknesses. The Crack's empire, in a move that shocked traditionalists, began a comprehensive reform of their society. Their warrior traditions weren't abandoned, but transformed. They became guardians of harmony rather than agents of conquest. Their strength turned to protection rather than domination. "The strongest alloy is not pure," Captain Chen remarked during a ceremony, marking the first joint human-Meridian Crack's defense exercise. "It's made of different metals, each bringing its own properties to create something greater than its parts." On Meridia Prime, the crystal spires that had once been merely beautiful now pulsed with new purpose. They formed part of a vast computational network that linked different species technologies in ways previously thought impossible. Human intuition, Meridian harmony, Crack's precision, Zith quantum processing, all flowing together in a grand symphony of progress. The galaxy's younger species, watching these developments, found hope where once there had been only resignation. They saw that greatness didn't require conformity to ancient patterns. Innovation, creativity, and collaboration became the new measures of advancement. "We stand at the dawn of a new age." First Speaker Luminara addressed the Galactic Council, not one of uniformity, but of harmony through diversity. Not of power over others, but of power with others. As she spoke, the crystalline arrays throughout the chamber hummed with subtle harmonies, and for a moment, every being present could feel the quantum dance of reality itself, the endless possibilities that arose when different perspectives combined in new ways. The human ambassador smiled, adding, "On Earth, we have an old saying, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. We just needed to find the right parts to create something truly extraordinary." And so, a new galactic order emerged, not through conquest or domination, but through collaboration and mutual enhancement. The species that had once been laughed at had shown the way to a future where strength came from synthesis, power from partnership, and wisdom from the willingness to see beauty in difference. The universe, vast and mysterious, seemed to pulse with new potential. And in the quantum harmonies that now linked worlds and species, one could almost hear the music of a new dawn, a symphony composed of countless different notes, each essential, each unique, all playing together in perfect, beautiful discord. The laughter had stopped, but the music was just beginning.